Hello everyone, it's me Evan, and welcome back to the channel. So, due to a viewer request, I've decided to start covering all the various sensors that we have in brick rigs, giving a brief overview of what they do in their own little videos. This one is dedicated to the speed and normal speed sensors. I have this nice little whiteboard set up to demonstrate what I'm talking about. This is in meters per second, by the way, all of this. So even if you're using imperial units for your game engine, or for the speedometers in game, your sensors are still going to be reading in metric because it's better for that. So you can see here with the speed sensor that we've got these arrows pointing in all directions. That's because the speed sensor will detect speed in any direction. So minimum input basically means that the minimum value you set it to, beyond that, no input at all. Maximum value you set it to, beyond that, is maximum input. So you can see on this graph here we've got maximum, minimum, and it scales linearly. So that means if we were to take an example, for instance, let's say I want to make a stall warning system. And the stall happens at, let's say, 10 meters a second. So to have a little light pop on when you reach your stall speed, you'd want your max to be at 10 and your min to be at 0. That means that below 10 all the way to 0, that light will be on. Now, ideally, if it was a stall speed for like an aircraft, you would want to put that up at like maybe, 12 or 15, something to give yourself a little extra warning. And then you might want to turn your minimum up slightly to something like 4 or 5, so that you don't have the stall warning light just on the ground, when you're not moving, because that's not helpful. So something like that. And that's the speed sensor, the normal, not the normal speed sensor, that's the speed sensor, right? Rather easy to understand for the most part. Now we come to the normal speed sensor, the special child. Special child here has one direction it can go in, and that means either a positive or a negative value. Unlike this one here, which can only give you 0 or positive value, this one can give you negative value. And it looks something like this. So we've got our minimum value down here. You can see negative infinity, maximum, positive infinity. And then in between is 0. And this is just our signal strength. So if you were to have an actuator, for instance, and the actuator rotates this way naturally, right? So a signal up here would cause this actuator to rotate in a normal direction. A signal past this point would cause it to rotate back like that. And then something here, and you'd get no rotation at all. Of course, it would be very hard to get something right between your two values. So don't rely on that being consistent. Always just, it's never right in the middle. It's always up here or down here. It can get close, but you almost never get it to stop unless your minimum and maximum are the same and you just aren't moving. Then it won't do anything. But normally I wouldn't count on having a value of 0 at any point. Some uses, as I already said, stall warning system. So if your plane stalls and it's bad when it stalls and it can't recover very well, you might want a warning light for that. Active aerodynamics, this can be for cars or planes or anything that needs a certain bit of oomph aerodynamically when it's at a certain speed. AI vehicles to help regulate their speed. Automatic lead systems, you do need to take into account your speed, not just where the target is. I don't know if anyone's actually made a good one yet, but that's a potential use. Analog speedometers. Speedometer is pretty simple. You would probably want to be using normal speed since it would only be registering your forward movement. So that could be very good. And then you'd also want to, for instance, let's say this was our speedometer, right? And you have either side 90 degrees. You wouldn't want to put the start of the speedometer there or there. You'd want to put it in the middle so that it would be theoretically right there, which means The min and the max, you can set 0 as your min, and let's say 140 kilometers per hour, or whatever, you know, and then it will actually scale properly. Yep. So speed regulated rockets is another one. If you want your rocket to go at a certain speed and no more, because then it will clip through the ground, this is also great for that. And of course, cruise control for similar reasons. These two are basically the same, but that's as simple an overview as I can give of the speed sensors. And we'll be back with another episode on another sensor very soon. All right, you guys, you have a good day. Bye-bye.